Welcome back to the deep dive. We've got a really interesting set of sources today that all point to one single URL,
Right.
and that is Sacramento Mobile EV Charging.com.
It sounds incredibly niche, doesn't it?
It does, like a local business in California, but it's actually, I think, a perfect case study for this massive shift in how we're thinking about energy distribution.
It really is. I mean, you glance at that name and you think, okay, roadside assistance for EVs. Kind of boring.
Yeah.
But if you actually unpack the model that's implied by that name, you realize, we're talking about the unbundling of a gas station.
The Uberification of the grid.
Exactly. And that's our mission today. We're not just reviewing a service. We are using this one entity, Sacramento Mobile EV Charging Solutions, to really understand three big ideas.
The shift from stationary to mobile, the move from hardware to, well, solutions, and just how important local geography is.
We're going to tear that name apart word by word. Mobile Solutions, Sacramento. Because the blueprint for the next decade of EV infrastructure is buried right in there.
Okay, so let's jump right in with that first component, mobile.
Let's do it.
And I want to play devil's advocate here right out of the gate.
Go for it.
Mobile charging, okay, sounds convenient, but from like a physics and engineering standpoint, isn't it just really inefficient? I mean, you're charging a massive battery inside a van. You're driving that heavy van around burning energy to move mass just to put that energy into another battery. Why not just make people go to the plug?
That is the classic engineering critique. And on a pure, thermodynamic level, you're right.
Okay.
It is more efficient to move electrons through a wire than to move a battery down a highway. But you're looking at energy efficiency. You need to be looking at capital efficiency.
Walk me through that.
Well, think about the nightmare of building a level 3 DC fast charging station today. You need prime real estate, which
Super
is
expensive.
super expensive. You need complex permitting. You need to dig up the concrete. And the big one is you need a massive connection to the grid.
Right, getting the utility company on board?
That process can take 18 months. It can cost hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars.
So it's a huge CapEx problem.
A massive CapEx problem. And once you build it, it is stuck there. If traffic patterns change, if you pick the wrong spot, you have a stranded asset.
Okay.
Now, look at the mobile model in our source. What's the CapEx? A van and a battery unit.
It's got to be significantly less.
When it's flexible. If demand is high downtown on a Tuesday, but it's high in the suburbs on the weekend, the asset moves to where the demand is.
I see.
So when we see mobile EV charging, we shouldn't just think convenience. We should think asset utilization. It solves the problem of these expensive fixed chargers sitting empty 80% of the time.
That makes a lot of sense. It's an arbitrage, really. You're trading a little energy efficiency for a huge amount of logistical flexibility.
That's it.
But what about the tech? The source says fast charging. When I think fast charging, I'm thinking of these huge liquid-cooled cables. Can you actually fit that in a van?
Yeah, you can. The tech has really come a long way. We're not talking about, some little generator humming in the back.
Right.
These are basically containerized battery storage systems.
Huh.
A buffer. The van itself charges up slow, say, at a depot overnight when electricity is cheap.
Off-peak.
And then it discharges rapidly into your car at level 3 speeds.
So it's basically acting like a capacitor for the grid.
Precisely. And that's why the mobile part is so disruptive. It decouples the charging speed from the grid connection at that specific location. You can get a fast charge in a parking lot that has zero electrical infrastructure.
Because the power is coming from the van's buffer, not from the grid right there.
Exactly.
Okay, so that covers mobile. It's about flexibility. It's about bypassing those infrastructure bottlenecks. But that brings us to the second word, and I think this one is even more interesting, solutions.
Yes. This is where the business model really comes to life.
So again, I'm going to be skeptical. Solutions just feels like corporate speak to me. Why not just call it chargers? Usually when a company adds solutions to their name, it just means they're trying to charge me more for consulting or something.
In a lot of industries, you'd be right. But in the energy transition, I think solutions usually implies a shift from B2C to B2B.
From consumer to business. Explain that.
Well, if this was just a service for you or me, like AAA for electric cars, the unit economics are pretty terrible. Think about it.
Okay.
You run out of charge on the freeway. You call them, they drive out, they charge you. What would you pay for that? $50? Maybe 100.
In an emergency, yeah, probably 100, but I'm not doing that every week.
Exactly. It's a low-frequency, high-cost event.
Yeah.
You can't build a scalable business just on drivers who forgot to plug in.
Yeah.
But Look at solutions through the lens of a commercial fleet.
Okay, so like delivery vans.
Right. Imagine you own a plumbing company in Sacramento. You buy 10 electric vans, now you have a huge problem.
Where to charge them all?
Do you pay $50,000 to upgrade the electrical panel at your office? Do you pay your plumbers $40 an hour to sit at a public charger?
No way. That would kill your profit margin.
So here comes Sacramento Mobile EV Charging.com. Their solution is this. Park your vans in your lot. We'll show up at 2 a.m., top off all 10 of them while you sleep, and drive away.
It's charging as a service.
Co-assess. That's the solution. It transforms a capital expenditure building chargers into an operating expense, just paying for the service. For a business, that is incredibly attractive.
That clicks. That really clicks for me, because I've been reading about how fleet electrification is stalling, and this is why. The infrastructure gap.
That's exactly what we call it. This source, this business, is essentially a bridge over that gap. They're not selling electricity, they're selling uptime.
Right. If you're a logistics manager, you don't care about charging. You just care that your van is ready to roll at 7 a.m.
And if this mobile entity guarantees that, they're selling reliability. That's the premium product.
And that leads us perfectly to the first word in the name, which puts a constraint on all of this. Sacramento.
The geography.
It's hyper-local. It's not global mobile charging. Why does the location matter so much?
Because geography is everything in energy logistics. We're not moving bits of code here. We are moving very heavy electrons. Your radius of operation dictates your entire profitability.
Because of travel time between jobs.
Travel time and density. Sacramento's a perfect place to test this. It's sprawling, but it has these dense commercial zones. If you try to do this in, say, rural Wyoming,
you'd spend all your time just driving.
Your truck would spend 90% of its time driving and 10% of its time charging. You'd lose all your money on fuel and depreciation. You need to minimize those deadhead miles.
So you need that cluster of customers.
But there's another Sacramento-specific angle here.
The grid.
The grid. California's grid is, let's be polite and call it constrained.
That's a very polite way of putting it. We have brownouts. We have peak pricing that is just astronomical.
Right. So a mobile solution in Sacramento actually serves a grid function. When the grid is stressed at 5 p.m., a stationary charger just adds to that stress.
It makes the problem worse.
But a mobile charger, which filled up its own battery at 2 a.m. when power was cheap and abundant, is effectively islanded from the grid during that peak time.
Wow. Okay, so it's technically peak shaving. You're moving energy not just across space, but across time.
Exactly. You buy the power when it's cheap, store it in the van, and then deliver it when power is expensive and scarce. And you can only do that if you understand the very specific local energy markets. That's why Sacramento is so critical to the name.
This feels like the last mile problem, like we talk about with Amazon deliveries. This is the last mile of voltage.
It is. The grid gets power to the substation, the wires get it to the street, but this model inverts the final step. Instead of forcing the car to go to the connection, it brings the connection to the car.
So let's talk about the interface for that, the URL itself.
Yes.
Sacramento Mobile EV Charging.com.
It is. Quite a mouthful.
It is. It's like 32 characters long. It breaks every branding rule in the Silicon Valley playbook. It's not Volti or Spark or some other slick name.
And that, I think, signals utility. It signals what we call intent-based discovery.
Meaning what?
Meaning nobody is browsing this for fun.
Oh.
If you are typing this in or searching for these words, you have a specific immediate need.
Like searching for 24-hour plumbers Sacramento.
Exactly. You don't want a cool brand name. You want to know exactly what they do right now.
So it's totally SEO driven.
Purely. But it also tells you something about how mature the market is becoming.
How so?
When a technology is new, you need flashy branding to explain it. Tesla, ChargePoint. But when a technology becomes a utility, the branding just fades into a simple description. This URL suggests EV charging is moving from being a lifestyle product to just a basic service.
That's a great point. It's boring on purpose because it's functional.
And for the kind of people listening who want to understand the nuts and bolts, that's a good sign. It means the industry is getting down to the real work. It's leaving the hype cycle.
Okay, I want to zoom out then. We've looked at mobile, we've looked at solutions, we've looked at geography. What happens if this actually scales?
That is the big question.
If this works, and we start seeing ChicagoMobileEV.com and LondonMobileEV.com, I mean, does the gas station model just die?
I think we have to seriously consider that, yes. Think about the real estate. Gas stations occupy some of the most expensive corner lots in every city in the world.
Of course, for visibility and access.
But if the energy becomes mobile, If the fuel can just come to your office park or your driveway, the value of that dedicated corner real estate just collapses.
It unbundles the convenience store from the fuel pump. I might still want a coffee and a snack, but I don't need to drive to a specific fueling location to get it.
And from an urban planning perspective, that is huge. If you can reclaim all that land currently used for gas stations, for housing, or parks, it's a game changer.
The whole model implies that refueling just becomes a background process, something that happens while you're doing something else, not a chore you have to schedule into your day.
Exactly.
But let me push back one more time. We talked about fleets, but what about me, the regular driver? Is mobile charging ever going to be cheap enough for me to just order it like a pizza?
That all comes down to two things: battery chemistry and autonomy. Right now, there's a human driving that van. That labor cost is high.
True.
But fast forward to, say, 2030, imagine that van is a small, autonomous rover. No driver. It's just a battery on wheels.
A Roomba for charging.
A Roomba with 50 kilowatt hours of juice. It just navigates a parking lot, plugs into your car automatically, charges you, and then goes back to its hub.
If you take out the labor cost,
Then yes, mobile charging becomes cheaper than fixed infrastructure because you don't need the land and the permits, you just need the rovers.
that is a wild image, a swarm of little charging robots in a parking garage.
And it all starts with the business model we see right here. It starts with a van in Sacramento proving the logistics can work.
So to recap for everyone listening, we started with this really clunky URL.
And we found a lot more than just a roadside assistance company.
We found a shift in capital from heavy fixed infrastructure to flexible mobile assets.
We found a business model pivot from selling electricity as a commodity to selling uptime and reliability as a solution.
And we found a reality check that energy is physical, it's local, and it needs density to work. It really challenges that assumption that the EV future just looks like the gas-powered past.
It won't.
Yeah,
The infrastructure is becoming fluid,
that's the takeaway for me. The grid is becoming fluid. It's breaking out of the wires and getting on wheels.
and that changes everything.
So I want to leave the listeners with one final thought. The next time you pass a gas station, really look at it. The tanks, the pumps, the big canopy, and ask yourself, is this a permanent fixture of our world? Or is it just a relic waiting to be replaced by a van and an app?
It's a great question to chew on.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll catch you on the next one.
See you then.